Hi guys, salut, c'est Daniel. Today I'd like to show you how I did this rose window. It's the west rose window that you can see at the National Cathedral in Washington. But before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The following is not a step-by-step tutorial. It's just a rapid presentation of the project and the main techniques that I used. If you have any question, I try to answer them in the comments section. And I'm also open to any suggestion for other types of videos you'd like to see on this channel. So here's the marmoset render. For the subdivision setting, I chose flat and a tessellation of 400. I think it's a pretty good value. Everything is quite nice. The default value is really low, around 100, and it looks like this. So it's not possible. It's not presentable. I think 400 is the way to go for the tessellation. Okay, so now let's go to Substance Designer and see how it's done. Obviously, the stained glass window is too bright. It's because we have emissive intensity of 1. Just take it back to perhaps 0.2. So it's more subtle, more discrete. And also I'm gonna show you the original picture of the reference. One of the reference at least. So you can find one here. So that's not the one. Here it is, but it's kind of small. It's a small picture. Okay, this one is alright. It's loading. Here we have a close-up, so we can see better small details. Now I'd like to show you this without the stained glass color. So just need to delete the link here. If some of you would like to download the graph, I can share it with you on a Substance Share, for example. So for now, for the beginning, I'm gonna cover the pattern creation, so this thing here, the geometry. Okay, so let's start with this external ring here, this one. This is the base, which goes through a Cartesian to polar node to make this circle. It's the vertical position of the line in the node before that defines the circle's diameter. Very important to understand. And here's why the curve node is really helpful. We start with a gradient linear that fits the curve node, and then we sculpt the details by simply drawing a curve with the peaks, the flat areas, and the cavities, as you can see. Then we can add some more details by subtracting the cuts that give the illusion of multiple stones laid out one after another in a circular pattern. Then the result goes through the Cartesian to polar and we get our external ring. So this is the easy stuff in this project. Let's see what we can study now. Those shapes are worth looking at. When I see something that resembles a water drop, I like to begin with a waveform that I cut in half. Then in this case, we can add the top and we have our main shape for this part. Let's then subtract the inner shape. But how was this shape made? Just like this, just by combining very simple things together. Another waveform with two circles. In this case, a mirror made the trick. Then we just need a contour of a higher value. A edge detect node does the job. Add a slight blur. And same here for the inner shape. And we have what we need. Okay. Then we send this to a splatter circular. The settings will help us position the shape exactly where we need it to be. Now let's have a look at the center rows. First, we use the same technique as seen earlier with the curve node. It's a bit more complex this time, but it's the same principle. The Cartesian to polar node to make the ring. Then we add the inner part, which was made this way. Just note that this is not a subtract, it's a max Layton blending mode. We basically add the circle with those ones here. Then we subtract it from a plain white background. And another subtract to complete the work. Then we add the ring with its shape and we have the core part of the texture. Once again, the edge detect technique gives us a border. Now let's look at this one here. Same technique as before with the splatter circular. We have a shape that we have to position correctly in the square. Once we have a couple of them, we can try to send them in the splatter circular. Of course, this step works only if you have the main pattern for the project. Then the placement is kinda easy to do. You just have to find the correct size and position, and the splatter circular will do the rest. If that fits here, you can be sure that they'll fit on all of the other ones. So the main big shape. For this one, I use the curve drawing system. This is a group of tools for substance designer made by Ilya Kuzmichev. He came up with a really cool system to make perfect curves easily in Designer. You can see it here in action. When I saw this the first time, I thought, alright, I absolutely need this, so I bought it. So I used the system to make two curves, very similar ones, and I put them one on top of the other. And I completed the result with the little spikes here and the cuts. Once again, I finished this part with a splatter circular to get this flower pattern. This constitutes the main ingredient to this work, and once you have it, the rest will just follow easily. So this is why the curve drawing system is a lifesaver, really helpful, and I'll tell you more about it in the next project, which will also be an architecture project. Just a note, I could render this in a 4K resolution, but even with 32 GB of RAM, Substance Designer would use more than 100% of the memory, so it's not gonna work well. That's why I'll keep the renders at a 2K resolution, and that's okay because the quality is good enough. Okay, so I didn't show you everything, but the same principles apply for the rest of the graph, of the main pattern. So we have the rose base. But once again, if you'd like to have a look at the graph, I'll be happy to share it with you. For the wall in itself, I just blended a brick wall with this one, which was made using the shape mapper. I also used the Cartesian to polar to have slightly bigger bricks in the center. I put them all together, and this constitutes the first layer of the texturing work. We just then combine it with the rose pattern. Then two slope blur grayscale are used to add small details on the borders. Then we can combine those with a rock weathering effect and a moss weathering effect using the normal nodes. Okay, now, what can I say about the stained glass colors? Let's have a look at the original one. You can judge the complexity of this glass, of its design. Obviously, and trust me, I tried, I couldn't reproduce it procedurally. So I just edited the bitmap and found a way to replicate it almost perfectly. The idea was to isolate all the important parts and duplicate them. Like here with the center, and here with other windows. I had sometimes to find strange solutions to succeed, like here, where I use two mirrors in succession. So it's not exactly like the original, but it does the trick. I think it's close enough. Then I combined it with the rose pattern using a multiply blending mode. And I just used the sharpen node to make the design more vivid and precise. One last step, and we have our color map. I just added the effects that I was talking about earlier, and here's the final color map. The normal height map. So this time in Substance Designer and in Marmoset I have displacement, so I think it's better. Of course, in order to have a good displacement effect you need geometry, so it's not feasible, it's not possible to have that in a game engine. But for presentation purpose it kind of works, it's great, it does the job. I have an emissive map in case we'd like to render this in a sunlight environment. You can imagine that sun rays come through the glass, and then if we have an emissive map it can contribute to illuminate the glass like this. But personally I prefer when the intensity is pretty low, maybe 0.2. And I also like when there's not this complex colors, so just kill it, and we can have a better view of the architecture. So I just stop there for this quick presentation of the rose window. If you want to know more, if you have questions, just please ask them in the comments section, and I will try to help you as best as I can. Okay, that's it guys, thank you for watching. See you very soon for another cool project. Bye bye!